you see women on the planet that have been taught this way, that they are a woman, you're girly, all you have is your girly energy. There's no feminine or masculine allowed. You are a female, you have to just be a female. And you see this with men. They're taught, you know, be a man. Being a man means that you're tough, you're strong, you can do it, you don't need anybody's help, and you're going to go make it happen. And we have an issue on our planet that comes from that, because so much of the issues that we're all going through on our planet come from this egotistical mental concept of gotta go get her done and make it happen, and no pain, no gain. It's a suffering energy that we celebrate, and it's a sickness. And it's time for us to wake up so that we can really find our alignment. Those men so need to balance their feminine energy. If they allowed the feminine energy to come in, it would help them to get things done, but to get it done with mindfulness and awareness. Their intuition would be guiding them. They would make much wiser, higher conscious decisions if they were in their wholeness. A woman who's in her wholeness will make much higher conscious choices than a woman that doesn't feel she has power. Right. So this affects all of us, young, old, children, grandparents, men, women, all of us. And we all have the masculine and the feminine energy available for us. It's there. It's just some of us have been denying parts of ourselves. So for a man who has to be this macho, tough guy that, you know, has to always get everything done, but he's like very hard person to emotionally connect with, because as a child he cried and his dad's like, cut it out, you don't need to cry, like be a man, you know, men don't cry. And I know so many men who've been told that, and they really struggle to feel okay with their emotions. And so you have a little boy who's just young and he's feeling emotion, and now he's shamed for it. He shuts that part of himself down. He tries to have good relationships, and his biggest struggle, the fact he can't emotionally connect. It's very interesting to observe. So if we really want to shift these things and we want to heal ourselves and the whole planet, we need to know that we are whole and that we have that available. So that's what I really want to kind of awaken in each of you, is this concept that you are whole, that you are worthy, that you are loved, you're unconditionally loved, and that your masculine energies and your feminine energies are perfect and beautiful. And a man crying is beautiful. My beloved, if he sheds a tear, he feels energy very much. He's a very sensitive and amazing soul. And there's times like, if he feels at all that he let me down in any way or he's hurt me, he will have tears in his eyes. And I just will go hug him and kiss his eyes and say, it's okay, I love you. And I remember when I first met him, there was times he'd be like, oh, it's just something in my eye, you know, like trying to cover it up. And I just told him right away, I was like, I think it is so beautiful that you feel emotion. Like, I've been around so many men my whole life that it's like they're not even allowed to admit they've cried, and they have so much anger in them because they can't let any energy release. So for me, I feel that if we each start to give honor to those who show the emotions, those who are showing the balance, it's going to help them to actually choose alignment. So for each of us, we have the power to either encourage people in a direction of health and alignment, or we have the power to discourage them and to cause greater harm. So we got to really think about that. Think about what we say. If you're someone watching today's boyfriend or husband cried about something and you're like, oh God, be a man for God's sakes. Like, you need to really look at your part of the fact that you've been raised and conditioned to think this way, and now you're projecting that on another, and he just may listen to you, and you just may encourage him to go to sleep and to put that part of himself to sleep and to go numb. And I promise you, it will not serve you or him to do that. Same with women. You may have some men watching may think of times that they've, shamed their girlfriends or wives or their mothers, their sisters, their daughters. And I assure you, it's an important moment. So we all need to be much more mindful with the energy that we are and the energy that we are putting out towards each other. And that's going to really help us to heal this planet in such a necessary way. And the beautiful thing is, once you understand that your highest priority is your own alignment, it's so simple. Because really, me on this show today, I'm sharing my wisdom with each of you, and you may listen, or you may just turn this thing off and go right back to screaming at your child, or screaming at your wife or your husband. And really, I have nothing to lose with this. I can just speak it and express it and wish the best for anyone that's listening and ready. But I don't need to worry about it. I don't feel like, oh God, the world needs to change. And if it doesn't change, I'm going to be freaked out and stressed out. And I've seen healers like this. I've seen authors like this. I've seen teachers like this, parents like this. And the thing is that we need to realize that we cannot change anything. We cannot encourage or inspire another if we're out of alignment. If I'm peaceful and I'm balanced and I'm centered, I'm going to have a much greater influence and inspiring tipping point with each of you than if I am out of alignment and I'm desperately urgent for you to listen to me. It's going to be a lot different. And so how can I make this really simple? The simplest thing that we each need to do is to let go of our resistance. Everything of resistance. If there's something that's creating resistance, you let it go. If there's someone creating tension, you step away. And you just keep your focal point on maintaining your own vibrational alignment, maintaining your own high frequency of joy and of love. I recently, it was interesting because Mother's Day, there's a lot of pressure put on these holidays, first of all. And I feel like a lot of people, the greatest suffering they experience is often on days where there's a high expectation of something going to happen. But I experienced something with one of my children, and my child was going through something really intense, and I happened to be in the eye of the storm, doing my best to help, like, how can I help you? And just got screamed at and tension flying, and I was just like, whoa. So I remember observing that and just thinking, I just need to step away from this. And so I did. I went inside the house. I went and made myself a snack, and I was just sitting there by myself eating it. And I could tell that that my child was struggling. And when we had time later, I went and chatted and said, I really deserve to be talked to with respect. I deserve to be spoken to with kindness. And I am so sorry that you're having a bad day, but I do not deserve to be yelled at. And then I just walked away. And I gave my child some room, and the next day, child came to me, said they were sorry. I'm really sorry, Mom. Gave me a hug, worked on what I had requested. I'd requested some things with communication to improve, and instantly worked on it. I realized something amazing happened, because in the past, there was times where, and I think a lot of it was my own alignment in a relationship when I was in a marriage that I didn't feel respected ever. I was exhausted in that relationship. And so I knew the whole time raising our children that there was a better way. I knew that screaming and yelling and doing, kicking doors and things wasn't appropriate. And I knew from observing it that it felt so wrong. But as I've gotten away and I'm in a healed, healthy alignment and a beautiful sacred space, now I have that opportunity to where I can maintain my alignment, connect with my child, speak the truth, and then step away and give them some space. And I have observed the magic of that, because our children, they really do want to live in alignment. They really do want to do what's best. But sometimes if they've been hurt too much, they've had a lot of abuse, they need to heal. And they're in a place where they have this vulnerability, and they're in this space where they need some kindness. They need some space to figure it out. They don't need us catering to them. They don't need us buying them off or doing things because of guilt. They need our alignment. They need our awareness. They need our truth. Excuse me. And they need our love and our guidance. And they need space. So sometimes it can be hard. I've observed as a mother, it can be hard to give your children that space and to really, have a gentle way to speak your truth and then let go and let them choose. But I assure you, if you can learn to shift the way you're doing things, if you can unlearn the need to control, the need to fight, the need to force and make it happen, the need to punish. Like, we have such a need to punish in our society. And it came from a lot of woundedness that we had projected on each of us. Topic. And I, from my observation, I have not seen punishment really working. I feel that if we would start reaching out to each other with love, if we would start connecting with truth and speak our truth and really give the space that's needed for that human to shift, we will see a lot of beautiful shifts happen. So it's something I encourage in each of us to just be aware of that with our children, our parenting connections. Is there anybody writing in with any questions? Because if anyone wants to call in or write in with anything going on, maybe something that you're feeling about loss of a parent, or as a parent, situations or stressful things you deal with your children that you're curious how to handle or deal with differently, give us a call and let us know. Is there anything, Amnon?
No, we just take her picture off.
First of all, your video just dropped out.
I saw that just like
a second ago. Back in.
Let's see if we get that back on.
She pulled her card loose.
Okay.
Yeah, right then I'm like, ooh, where'd I go?
Just leave it there.
Get excited and pull your card loose.
Okay.
There she is.
Okay, now.
Okay.
I knew she'd be back.
Okay.
How does overcompensating for what you didn't get as a child harm your child?
Okay. That's a really great question, because if we're overgiving because we felt we didn't give, we can honestly, we're basically in an energy of feeling like there's guilt or shame, so we're trying to overgive because of that. And what happens is, if we're overgiving, meaning overgiving isn't really a such thing as like, oh, I can't love someone too much. But if I say I have a child and I felt that I didn't get certain things, and so I just got to give her all those things, but she's not really in a space of appreciation, or she's, maybe kind of being a pain and being stubborn, or not really listening to the respectful alignment that we would like in the house, and then we just give her some prizes anyways, or she's throwing a tantrum and you give her that candy bar because you never got a candy bar. That can be the worst thing you can do for your child, actually, because it's all circumstantial. You got to look at your intention and you got to look at your alignment in the now, because really it's really a difficult thing to just judge everything and say this is the solution of this. But I can say simply that the solution, without being too complicated on what the situation is always alignment. So if you feel in a heartfelt space of giving and you just feel, I just want to give to this person, give, because that is alignment. And that's you listening to that heartfelt desire to give. Give because you truly want to, not because you think you have to or you should. Don't give and then expect something, because that gets us in trouble. I'll give her this and then she's going to do this chore for me, and then when she doesn't want to do the chore, you're pissed, and then you throw that back as a guilt. And so we got to really look into our intentions, because sometimes we try to buy people. Buying people is not cool. It's not healthy for the soul. So if we're giving in that intention of, I need to give because something's out of balance, I need to give because my kid's mad at me and I want to make it up to her, even though she was really out of alignment, but I feel guilty. So now I'm overthinking it. Now I go give her her present. What it does is, in essence, it's teaching them not to respect you. And it's teaching them not to trust you, because children are very much listening and looking for alignment. I like to make the reference of like with dogs. A dog, if you look at dogs, if you studied much about dogs, they have this pack mentality, and